Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Gemini energy, and this is kind of a shadow reading. It could be just about yourself and how you've had to deal with your own shadow nature, or it could have been how you had to deal with your shadows, your fears, your insecurities because you dealt with other people who are operating from their shadow nature. You know, and life is all about coming into relationship with all these different people in the world to get clear about what our truth is. And sometimes we get in relationships with people who have a lot of growing up to do, or they have a lot of fears and insecurities, or they're emotionally defensive, or, you know, they just view life differently. Maybe they're motivated and inspired by the world, and they're more driven by making their life about money and materialism and status and image instead of making their life about love and hope and faith and belief and believing in themselves. And they've kind of given up on their dreams. And if we get in relationships with people like that, even though we might have wanted a dream to come into reality with them, we have to see the truth that not everybody is on the same page as we are at the same time in life. You know, we view life differently. We have different dreams. We're motivated and inspired by different things. So then we have to work through our own self-limiting beliefs, our own codependent nature, our own fears and insecurities in order to move forward. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things here, and you can decide how it applies to your life. So for the archetype cards, people right now that are in shadowy Gemini energy, which Gemini energy is air sign energy, so it could be people who live more from their mind than their heart, who use their mind and their creativity and their communication skills in order to move their life forward, operating more from making their life about either defensiveness or protecting themselves and staying in fear and insecurity, not willing to be bold and brave and listen to their intuition, maybe making their life more about money and materialism. We have the athlete in shadow. It's a misuse of their abilities for selfish ends, a false sense of invulnerability and entitlement. The martyr, they're addicted to self-pity. The poet turns their gift of communication into a negative or destructive effect. So they basically use their Gemini is about our communication, and some people use that in a shadowy way to get what they want. And the child wounded blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness. So people who are in shadowy energy right now might be, when we're in our shadow nature of the martyr, we can be in self-pity. We can blame others, and we haven't learned that we need to take responsibility for doing the work within ourselves to love and believe in ourselves so that we can move forward in our life. Some people always stay in self-pity. You know, it takes a lot of work to get out of your fear, your insecurity, your pride, your ego, your self-centeredness, or whatever. Your materialistic, egotistical way of living life. So some people could be putting in a lot of work to maybe portray themselves as the wounded party, and they could be speaking about it and maybe play the victim. People in high vibe energy are the avenger. They have a desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society and oneself. Gemini energy, also how people can harness it. Gemini energy is about, what am I going to love that I think I can work with, that I think I can manifest my dreams into reality. High vibe Gemini energy is about people who are willing to align with their more loving, intuitive, creative, bold, brave, confident nature. And they believe if they keep doing that, they're going to manifest their dreams into reality. And people right now who either don't see the truth or don't believe in themselves or don't trust love, those people could be aligning with their more emotionally defensive, fearful, insecure, or worldly nature and making their life about money and materialism. So the shadow card that came out is the gullible shadow. Easily misled or duped. Trustful, naive, lack of world experience. You know, if you've lived your life thinking that you didn't have to do the work within yourself, that it was the things of the world that would make you feel better. Other people are the source to make you feel whole and at peace within yourself. You've already learned those lessons in life, and you might have some people in your life that haven't learned those lessons, and they keep thinking the things of the world or other people, if they just love them enough, they'll feel okay. But really, we have to love and believe in ourselves and learn how to treat ourselves with compassion and kindness and forgiveness and be a loving source within ourselves to truly be able to give to others, because our own cup runs over and we can give freely to others. Some people haven't learned that, and they could have a lot of life lessons to learn yet that they haven't learned. And then we had these four weren't showing themselves. Could be some things that people don't want to deal with within themselves. The gossiper shadow spreads rumors and loves drama. A snitch, bad mouth, can't keep secrets. Some people who are in shadowy energy could do this, but they don't want people to know that's how they live their life, that they're kind of a gossip. They also could be afraid of people gossiping about them if they really did go live their authentic life, and that keeps them in fear. The scapegoat shadow, blamed or punished for another's actions, victimized, sacrificed, pushover. So, we're a scapegoat in our own life if we let our ego and our fear run our life. We have this dualistic nature, and this dualistic nature exists in reality. We can align with our shadow nature, and when we do that, other people are going to come into our life and play on our fear, our insecurity, our lust, our greed, our immaturity, and they're going to indulge in a relationship with us for their own selfish, greedy reasons. Some people don't realize that other people are doing that, and they in turn might not realize that because they play the victim, and that's their maybe life philosophy, and we all prove ourselves true. So if there's some people in your life who their life philosophy is things don't work out for me, people leave me, poor pitiful me, and that's how they get a sense of, I don't know, it's like their self-identity. They might not realize that they sacrifice other people in order for them to play the victim. Then we have the elusive shadow, difficult or impossible to find or catch, vague, fleeting, evasive, distant, avoidant. Some people just don't know who they are yet. They haven't put the pieces of themselves together yet, and they just have a lot of life lessons to learn about that. And then we have the passive shadow, allows things to just happen to them, a pushover, submissive, give up their power. Some people aren't willing to stand up for themselves. They're not willing to take that bold, creative action to stand up for the justice they deserve in life. And they could be passive and let other people, influence their decisions. If they want to have a certain status or image in the world, and there's other people in the world that they're not willing to stand up to, they don't want to be one of the people in the world that are talked about, and they want to align with those type of people in the world, they're willing to sacrifice their own dreams in order to be a part of that group. And they maybe don't want people to see the truth of who they are, so they could come across as very passive, like, oh no, not me, I wouldn't do anything like that. But I don't know, they could even play the very gullible person. Who knows? We'll get tarot on it to kind of fill out the story. Tell us about the gullible shadow. Some of you could have been gullible because you could have fallen for somebody's pity story. You had a dream and you were listening to your intuition. We all have lessons to learn in life, And we will be attracted to get into relationships with people because we have lessons to learn from those people. And if we were kind of naive and gullible and we thought everyone in the world was like us, that's why I have these mirrors here. You know, we can look out at the world and we think everybody hopes to grow and mature themselves and get out of their more fearful, insecure nature. And sometimes some people aren't. They like to play the victim. And they put a lot of work into sacrificing their own dreams for whatever it is they're motivated and inspired by. And, you know, some people want to be in relationships with people who are gullible secretly because in shadowy Aries energy, they want things to go the way they want things to go. And they're not building a relationship based on love. It's more about their wants, their needs, their lust, their greed, their pride, their ego. And they want to be in relationships with people who are gullible, who haven't learned those lessons yet, so they can indulge in a relationship with them. And when we get in relationships with people like that, eventually we start to listen to our intuition about, is this really my dream? Have I been naive? Was I thinking that someone was someone who desired to be just and fair and balanced, who would fight for the truth and love? Or did they just present themselves that way? But really, they hide that they like to play the martyr. And if you don't do the relationship the way they want you to do the relationship, they will use their, kind of with that gossiper shadow, they'll use their words manipulatively to play like they're the victim because you're not willing to live life the way they want to live it and make it maybe about them. You sacrifice your dreams to be in a relationship with them and make them like the center of your universe, where they don't put in the work and effort to be just and fair and balanced and all those good things. And they're hoping you're gullible enough to maybe fall for it, for some. Tell us about the gossiper shadow. The person, if some people like to play the victim, because they're sure that you're going to walk away one day anyway. They're the victim. People are going to leave them. And they do things to sabotage a relationship. And so eventually, when you listen to your intuition and you decide you need to go with the flow and take the lessons you've learned from this life experience, realizing that in shadowy Cancer energy, someone was using their emotions manipulatively in this relationship, that you decide in the Eight of Cups that you need to walk away because this was an illusion. This person wasn't who they said they were. When you see through the illusion out of love and respect for yourself, not willing to give up your dreams to stay in a relationship with someone who maybe has an immature view of relationships, and maybe they think when they get in relationships that it should be all about them. That's us being in our ego, right? And self-centered. Maybe that's how they view relationships. And maybe that's their dream relationship, you know? And when you listen to your intuition, this person could have gossiped about you. Instead of telling the truth, that they were not being open and honest and authentic, that they were kind of using their emotions manipulatively to move the relationship forward, maybe based more on the things of the world, pride, ego, fear, insecurity, and that you were just supposed to keep staying in the relationship with them for those reasons. When you listened to your intuition and you walked away from these people because you felt like they were trying to manipulate you with things of the world, trying to get you to be in your pride and your ego, and you being afraid that if you move forward in your life, that people are going to talk about you, you should stay in the relationship to avoid gossip. And you said, I deserve to get the justice I deserve in relationships. And if you're not going to be truthful and honest and just and fair and balanced in this relationship, then I'm leaving. And this person could have gossiped about you, said that you wanted to walk away to go to a third party. But the truth could have been that they want to be in relationships with people who they can't emotionally manipulate. And if they're not able to manipulate you, then they want to go get in a relationship with someone else who's on the same page as them, who's maybe someone who keeps wanting to repeat these same patterns of relationship the way that they view life. It isn't about learning and growing and maturing yourself and moving forward. They'd have to step out of their comfort zone. They'd have to be willing to learn some lessons in life, and some people aren't willing to do that. They want to keep doing life the way they've done it. So when you walked away, they probably gossiped about you. So tell us about the scapegoat. You were sacrificed so that they could play out this story that they think is true. And like I say, we all prove ourselves true. If we think, oh no, I'm the martyr, I'm the one who's always wounded, people will make that happen and make that a reality. We all manifest our reality based on what we believe is true and what our reality is. And some people wanted you, some of them could have even wanted you to move away so that they could play this role, this version of a story of life that they have in their head. That they're the martyr, that they were the wounded party. Tell us about the scapegoat. They could have even had a dream of making an offer to someone else. They want to align with their more shadowy nature, their more egotistical nature, their more self-pity nature. You know, they're aligning with the third party within themselves. So then there could be other people in the world that they want to have a new beginning with. But they didn't want people to gossip about them making that decision if they walked away. So they could have tried to do things to get you to walk away. So then they could make it all about you walking away, and they could go align with the people in their life that are more on the same page as them. The scapegoat was love. People who take action out of love and listening to their intuition, those people are sacrificed. Because these people martyr themselves. Instead of listening to their heart and their intuition and being bold and brave and getting their divine inheritance, they instead sacrifice that aspect of themselves, and instead they present themselves in the world as being like a loving family person, but it's just a facade that they present to the world. And then they just try to balance out their emotions about the fact that they're not being truthful and honest and authentic in relationships. But they have this image of how they want the world to perceive them, but they really don't want to do the work it takes to actually be someone who's balanced and just and fair and open and honest and loving. They want to be perceived that way, but they don't want to do the work to actually be that type of person in the world. So if there's someone else in the world that they could go get in a relationship who doesn't see the truth of who they are, then, and that person's gullible and naive to who they are, then they can go have a new beginning with that person until that person sees through the illusion and the facade. And so what you had to do is you did have to love yourself and believe in yourself. You could have realized that someone was willing to sacrifice you because they wanted to live their life differently. They're not motivated by being open and honest and authentic and vulnerable. They're motivated to present the illusion of being that and not being that way. And maybe being in relationships where they're more bossy and controlling and play the martyr and the wounded party in the world. So you had to love yourself and balance out your strong emotions and trust that the divine had a plan for your life. And to tell us about the elusive shadow, this person in shadowy energy might want to present their self as loving to other people in the world who really don't know who they are yet either, because those people have a lot of lessons learned too. And if they don't know who they are and they haven't maybe had enough life experiences to get down to the truth of who they really are, and they need to get in more relationships to discover that, that might be just the type of person they want to get in relationship with. And as you move forward, you had to deal with the fact that you needed to rediscover who you were and what your truth was, and accept the fact that this other person is kind of like a mirage. They're not really who they present themselves to be in the world. The elusive shadow, we have the Queen of Wands, the Three of Swords, the Six of Swords, and the Five of Swords because of the Four of Pentacles. You realized as you were moving forward in your life that you needed to hold back from people in your life who harness these energies in a shadowy way. People who operate more from their pride and ego nature, which is part of our dualistic nature. We either move forward in truth and love, or we're operating from pride and ego thinking we know better, because we get hurt doing that. So in our emotionally defensive or self-centered or prideful egotistical nature, people operate more from their pride and ego, and they live more from their mind than their heart, and they think it's just and fair for them to move forward in this self-protective mode, emotionally defensive way of being, or this more materialistic way of being, or this more self-centered way of being. Why? Because they have their own dream, and their dream is to do things the way they've always done it, to make their life maybe more about the world. Because the Four of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. It's about in shadow. Capricorn energy is also represented by the devil. We can align with our more worldly nature, our more immature, indulgent, self-centered, whatever nature, instead of aligning with our more bold, creative, inspired nature. They could have held back from you because it causes them mental conflict that you harness these energies in a high vibe way. You do have hope and faith and belief in yourself. This is Queen of Wands is Leo energy. So, and the queens in tarot can talk about your emotional states, so whether you're male or female. You are someone who isn't willing to sacrifice your dreams for out of fear or insecurity or codependency or lust or greed. You know, I have a dream. The Five of Swords, the Six of Swords are Aquarius energy of I have a dream. And your dream is different than their dream. Their dream is to use their emotions manipulatively, because we're either using our emotions, being open and honest and authentic, or we're using our emotions manipulatively in a relationship to get what we want. They were using their emotions manipulatively, maybe holding back from you so you would feel heartbroken and you would move away. Because if they're in a relationship with you and you're bold, you're brave, you're confident, you're not restricted and confined and limited by the same like fears and insecurities or materialistic or ego things that they're kind of hung up on, they know that if they keep staying in a relationship with you, they're going to have to deal with their own past pain and heartbreak that makes them act that way. Why wouldn't everybody choose to be open and honest and loving and bold and brave and confident in the world? Because they have past pain and heartbreak that keeps them in fear or insecurity or emotional defensiveness. And they'd have to see some truths about why they live their life the way they do. Why are they emotionally defensive? Why are they maybe emotionally manipulative in relationships? Why are they maybe controlling and want things to be the way they want things to be? Why are they so afraid of going with the flow and trusting other people? And the thought of doing that causes them a lot of mental conflict. And instead of dealing with that mental conflict, or maybe seeing life from a higher perspective, maybe having hope and faith and belief in other people, maybe having hope and faith and belief in love and trusting other people, they could have just decided, no, I'm holding back from those people. It causes me too much mental conflict. And I could get hurt doing that. I just want those people to go away. And I want to maybe go get in a relationship with people who view life the same way I do. Other people who are maybe operating from their fear or their ego, or people who might make their life more about money and materialism and status and image. Maybe other people who've been heartbroken and they also don't dare move forward in truth and love, who also might move forward in pride and ego. Because the Six of Swords talks about when we have mental conflict because we've been heartbroken before, what do? Do we decide to hold back from those people and to see the truth and take bold, brave, confident action about the fact that we've been disappointed by people? And do we keep moving forward in hope and faith and belief in our dreams, to be willing to keep moving forward towards our dream to change our life, to move forward in our life, expand our perception of ourselves and the world around us and the people we had been in relationship, and just see the truth about the people that we were in a relationship with, that some reason they weren't willing to move forward. For some reason, there's things in life that they're not willing to let go of yet. Maybe they're not willing to step outside their comfort zone. Maybe they're not willing to open up. Maybe they have lessons to learn and they've been refusing to learn them, And so they've been in their pride and ego because they've been hurt before. That's the free will choice that we all have. When we get in relationships with people that we hoped a dream would come into reality, and it doesn't, because the people that we're in a relationship with aren't ready to do that yet, and they may never be ready to do that yet. Are we going to stay in pain and heartbreak, and are we going to then decide to be like them and move forward in pride and ego and hold back from other people and give up on our dreams and decide we're going to maybe just indulge ourselves in relationships and it's going to be all about us now? It's all going to be about me indulging myself. And if people want me to open up, no way, We can choose to live our life that way and give up on our dreams, or we move forward believing in our dreams. And that's what you had to do. And you weren't willing to stay in a relationship with someone who wanted you maybe to keep working together with them and just balancing out your emotions about the fact that they might present a good presentation to the world, like they're happy, loving family people, but that they're really not. That it's kind of like being in an emotionally shallow relationship. And they could be someone, because of their fear and insecurity of being vulnerable, they could be people in shadowy Aries energy who end up becoming controlling because they're trying to control the environment, because they don't trust people. They don't trust love. They're afraid of being hurt. And you didn't want to be in relationships with people that were like that. So you balanced out your strong emotions to move forward and believe in your dreams and believe that the divine has a plan for your life. And if this person is in their pride and ego and not willing to open up, not willing to detach from their old ways of being, not willing to be balanced and offset their more fearful, insecure nature with love and move forward in truth and love, well then, I wish you peace, but I'm moving on. I have a dream. And the other person might decide, well, I'm willing to let you go because I'm not willing to live life the way you want to live life. And I'm going to go see maybe if I can present myself as loving to maybe the Queen of Wands can mean the other man, other woman. And I'm going to go present myself as a loving person to them. Someone else in the world who might be heartbroken, who might right now be holding back from moving forward and believing in themselves, maybe I can go get in a relationship with them. And maybe if they're kind of fearful or insecure or gullible, maybe I can indulge myself in a relationship with them for a while. And if eventually they see that I'm kind of emotionally manipulating them and indulging in a relationship with them, they might decide they want to walk away. And when they do, I'm going to gossip about them. And I'm going to play the martyr and the victim. And I'll just keep repeating this pattern over and over and over and hope that someone has mental conflict about holding back from them and believing in themselves and moving forward. And they'll be able to emotionally manipulate someone who also decides to live more from their mind than their heart, who also is unwilling to step out of their comfort zone and believe in themselves, and would maybe just stay in a relationship with them because it does maybe make them look successful in the world. It, maybe, it looks like it has stability and security, and, it might look like they have their dreams come true. And some people aren't willing to move away from that because it does provide them a sense of stability and security in their life, and their own inner nature, their own bold, creative, intuitive, loving nature that they didn't align with is heartbroken. That they didn't love and believe in themselves to believe in their dreams, and that they keep clinging to what they're in, the job, the friendship, the relationship, out of fear and insecurity or pride or ego or self-limiting beliefs. At any given moment in time, we have this dualistic nature. We're aligning with one side versus the other. And these energies within us are both battling to have control of our life. Our loving nature wants the best for us. The loving people in our life who want us to believe in ourselves, to love ourselves, to believe in ourselves, to let go of our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, our addictions, our codependencies, our more immature, indulgent nature, they want the best for us. Our shadow nature really doesn't care what happens with us. It just wants to indulge itself and stay safe and indulge in whatever it wants to indulge in. And then the people in the world who like that we're in that energy, they come into our life and they're happy too that we don't love and believe in ourselves, because then they can indulge in a relationship with us for their own selfish, greedy, prideful, lustful, immature, indulgent ways of being. Once we decide what we're going to align with, and when we choose to love and believe in ourselves, we will move away from people who want to invest in us and play on our emotions or our fear or our codependency or, our passion, whatever, And if we love ourselves, we'll balance out our strong emotions and listen to our intuition, because our intuition was given to us like a gift, just like our eyesight and our hearing. And when we haven't listened to our intuition, we all know we probably got ourselves into some situations in our life before that ended up creating a little hell on earth for ourselves, and we really had to dig ourselves out of it. And if you've went through that enough times in your life, you've learned to listen to your intuition, to not be tempted by your shadow nature and other people who try to tempt you to be in your shadow nature. And you hold back from those people who maybe are trying to manipulate you for their own selfish, greedy reasons, maybe because it'd be good for their image or their status or make them look like a shining star. Maybe they're competitive, maybe they're prideful, maybe they're egotistical. But we have to listen to our intuition. If we want the relationships that we deserve, we have to listen to our intuition to find out the truth about what motivates and inspires people in the world. And we have to go through these life experiences, and it can make us afraid of listening to our intuition because it led us into some painful life experiences before, but maybe we really didn't listen to our intuition back then. And our intuition was telling us, I don't think this is a good idea. I think this person's immature. I think this person's kind of full of themselves. I think you might be doing this out of codependency or fear or insecurity, you know. And if we keep realizing that maybe we didn't listen to our intuition as well as we could have in the past, and then the fact that we just have lessons learned and we offer ourselves compassion and forgiveness for the lessons that we had to learn. And there's no shame in learning lessons if you learn lessons. That's why my one tattoo on my arm, it says, take a leap of faith, live, learn, repeat. The important thing is to learn. Otherwise, we just keep taking foolish risks and repeating the same old patterns over and over and over again. Life is about taking leaps of faith, but if we take the lessons we were meant to learn from those life experiences, we can move away from repeating those types of patterns of relationship before, because we do listen to our intuition. Tell us about the passive shadow. Oh, and the other part of my tattoo on that arm is it starts with yourself. Love, compassion, forgiveness, respect. It isn't about trying to get other people to love us and be compassionate to us and respect us. And it's for us to offer that to ourselves. And when we offer it to ourselves, we can offer it to other people, but not to the extent that we are willing to sacrifice our dreams to be overindulgent and overgiving and equally as tipped out of balance as the people who want us to keep indulging them in a relationship. We deserve to be in equally balanced relationships. So tell us about the passive shadow. Well, I would say for the people that have mental conflict about moving forward in their life, who cling to these old ways of being, cling to the things of the world, make their life maybe more about money and materialism. Some of those people might be very passive in their life and in their foundation. They're not someone who takes bold, creative, inspired action in their life. It is more about making their life more about money and materialism and status and image. And if this person, some of the people in your life might have presented themselves as loving to someone who they thought, well, that they were attracted to because they have lessons learned. That person could have held back from them and broke their heart, and that person could have moved away. Because if they also aren't getting into relationships based on love, and they're getting into relationships because of pride or ego or whatever, if there was someone else that the person they went to go get in a relationship with, if that their person saw someone else that they could go get in a relationship with that maybe looked more successful, had more status, more image, more money, more materialism, well, if people aren't getting relationships based on love, it's just about what's best for me. It isn't about love. And so the person they could have wanted to go get in a relationship with could have held back from them. Some of them could have even had a third party who made them an offer if they would be willing to walk away from some other people in their life. But of course, they don't want people to gossip about that and know that. So they could have done things to try to get the loving people in their life to move away from them so that they could go present themselves to the third party. It could be someone who previously had broken their heart and they wanted to move forward with that person. That was the person they thought they wanted their dreams to come into reality with. But then, when we're in our shadow nature and we're taking action in the world, not being truthful and honest and just and fair and loving, there's consequences for our actions. Why did the third party make them an offer to get in a relationship with them? Maybe the third party just wanted them to betray the people in their life who are truthful and honest and just and fair and believe in their dreams, and they didn't want those people's dreams to come into reality. I want you to come back and get in a relationship with me. Are you still heartbroken about me? Perfect. Let's get in a relationship. Let's let those other people go. I want to look like the shining star. You pick me. And then when the person goes to go get in a relationship with them, it's like, oh, that filled my ego. Oh, yeah, now I'm going to hold back from you and I'm going to move on to the next person. You know, the person they could have been attracted to getting in a relationship with is kind of just like them. It wasn't because of love. It's more about ego and image and status. It's like, I won. You picked me. Later. Moving on. Maybe there was someone else that they could go get in a relationship with that had more money, more image, more status. So some of the people who were tempted by a third party could have been betrayed by that third party because they have lessons to learn. They live in the divine's matrix, and there's consequences for our actions. And to think that everything's going to work out fine and dandy when you're maybe spreading lies about other people so that they'll, you can leave a relationship and play the victim and then think everything's going to work out dandy for you. I don't know. It can work out and seem dandy for a while, but what goes around comes around. And for some, they went and got in a relationship with someone who is just like themselves, and that person did it for their own prideful, competitive reasons. And once they got them to get in the relationship with and betray the loving people in their life, then they moved away from them. Some of the people are now single and they're not taking any action in their life. And some of them could have even been the one. They went to go get in the relationship with someone else, I don't know, to make it look like they're a loving, nurturing person in the world. And then they could have moved away from that person and again playing the victim. And maybe the reason they play victim and even let that other relationship go is because they don't want to be in a relationship with anyone. But they don't want people to know that. They don't want people to know that they're more motivated by money and materialism and maybe being single and just doing whatever hell they want in life. And they don't want people to know that truth about them. So they get out of one relationship, they go get in another relationship, and then they just play the victim and are hoping maybe that there's just someone they can indulge in a relationship. If you dealt with people like that, you had to heal, you had to put the pieces of yourself together of knowing who you really were and your worth and value, and be willing to step in the spotlight of your own life to know your own worth and value. And to take, maybe you were someone with the passive card here and then the Aries card of the Four of Wands. Maybe part of this life experience was for you to take that bold, brave, confident action to move forward in your life, even though it caused you mental conflict, because we all have fear of stepping out of our comfort zone. We all like to cling to things, and it was maybe you to learn to be more bold and brave and confident within your own life and knowing your worth and value. And as you did that, the people who are in shadowy energy, it could really cause them a lot of mental conflict because they thought you weren't going to be bold and brave and confident, and that you would maybe stay in heartbreak, and maybe that you'd want to cling to them. Maybe they wanted to go get in a relationship with a third party and indulge themselves, and then when they decided they were done with that, they thought you'd still be in a lot of mental conflict about, and they could come back and be with you, and you'd be willing to cling and hold on to them, and you're like, no, I'm not in my ego about you anymore. I saw the truth that you were selfish or greedy or prideful or egotistical or unloving, unkind, and I moved on. People show you who they are by the actions that they take in the world. And I've changed. The fives in tarot talk about change. And I'm holding back from you. I have no interest in moving forward with people who are emotionally manipulative, prideful, egotistical, who betray me, who move away from me, who cause me a lot of mental conflict, and they think they're just going to go do whatever the hell they want. And when they're ready to come on back, that they think I'll still be in mental conflict about them. No. I know my worth and value, and I'm taking bold creative action in my life to get the justice I deserve. Tell us what the people, let's get a new deck so we can have all the cards come out. Tell us what the people who are in shadowy energy, who now might be single and just thinking maybe they look like all that in the world, that people are going to want to come be in a relationship with them. They could be looking again towards the past, hoping that other people who live life the way that they live it, who aren't bold and brave and confident to move forward in their life, will want to be in a relationship with them. Well, we got this card that's not showing itself because of the Ten of Wands. What they don't see coming is, well, the Six of Cups. People might not be willing to work together with them because people don't want to repeat those patterns of relationship anymore. And this person's going to feel overwhelmed. Especially, if there are people who don't know how to fill their own cup. And part of the whole reason for that occurring in their life happens for us to learn lessons from. Who are we? What is our truth? Who are we? Are we going to keep being in pride and ego and living more from our mind than our heart? Are we going to keep clinging to these old ways of being, kind of being selfish and greedy, not willing to move forward in life, thinking we know best, being in our pride and ego, wanting to win at all costs, being full of ourselves? Or are we willing to take some bold creative action about our past pain and heartbreak and how we maybe hurt others? And are we willing to move forward in truth? Are we willing to change? Are we willing to maybe also temper our more prideful nature? Because shadowy areas, can be my wants, my needs, my lust, my greed, my pride, my ego. I want. Are we going to temper that? Are we going to go within and gain insight and understanding about maybe why relationships didn't work out in the past? Are we going to see the truth about some of the people that we invested in? Are we going to see why relationships didn't work out? How did we contribute it? How did other people contribute to it? Or are we going to still be in denial and in illusion about ourselves, about people in our past? The divine is trying to get the people who are either operating out of fear or insecurity or pride or ego or codependency or illusion to let go of repeating these patterns of relationship and to start giving it everything they've got, to take some bold, creative, inspired action. Because the tens, each suit of the deck goes up to 10. And if we're willing to keep giving it everything we've got, we'll be able, even though it's overwhelming, we'll be able to drop the burden and take new, creative, inspired action in our life. And we can either do it in pride and ego and emotional defensiveness and self-centeredness, or we can do it in truth and love and have a breakthrough in our life. And it's going to be a period of feeling overwhelmed because the divine wants them to get their divine inheritance. The divine doesn't want anybody to live a life of fear and insecurity and pride and ego and selfishness and greed. We have the free will to do that, but our divine inheritance is to listen to our intuition, to grow and mature ourselves, to have the life we deserve. But we have free will. Tell us about the people in high vibe Gemini energy, what they don't see coming. As you're moving forward in your life, there could be other people who could have always dreamed of being in a relationship with you, but they've been holding back from you until you kind of were willing. Because why do we hold on to people who are unloving, unkind, unjust, unfair, whatever? Because we're kind of in our pride and ego. Like, oh no, God, they're my person. And the divine's like, I think you should move on. I think I've shown you the truth about this person. And there's other people who would like to be in a relationship with you probably, or a friendship group, or work with you and offer you a job, whatever the case is. but they've needed you to take some bold creative action in their life to get over your past pain and heartbreak with the people you've dealt with in your life, to see the truth and to get yourself out of your own mental conflict. To your foundation would be the Three of Pentacles, to take the lesson you've learned to move forward, to hold back from people like that, to hold back from your more fearful, insecure, codependent nature that makes you be in a relationship with other people who could be trying to manipulate you and control you. To see the truth. People are either open and honest and loving and just and fair, or that's not the type of relationship they dream of being in. And if you don't want to be in a relationship the way they want to be in a relationship, you have a different dream, then as you move forward in truth and clarity and have gained that truth and clarity about yourself, you've learned lessons in life, you've changed. And then there's other people who might want to be in a relationship with you because they see that you now know your worth and value, and you've taken that bold creative action to be independent of the world, be independent of people in your past. What do people in high vibe Gemini energy not see coming? And there could be other people that have been being passive in a way within their foundation, maybe staying single, because they've been waiting for someone like you to get out of a negative relationship. You know, just like you now, when you're going to move forward, and if you're looking for a new friend, a new job, a new romantic interest, you're looking for other people who aren't living their life like this anymore either. You know, we're all looking for the people who know their worth and value, who are independent, who are insightful, who are bold, who are brave, who are creative. What you don't see coming is the Hierophant because of the Judgment. Again, the Hierophant can be about relationships and friendships and workplaces. That there is people who want to be in a relationship and marriages and workplaces with you. They're already people who walk the talk. They've just maybe been waiting for you to get to the place in your life where you walk the talk. Not making your life about, the things of the world, because shadowy Taurus energy, if you were in a workplace or a job or a friendship where you kept staying in it, could be definitely because you loved someone, or you loved, if it was a job, the stability, the security, the everything that came with it, but it really wasn't aligned with the truth of who you were. It wasn't letting you be your authentic self and being free in the world. It was kind of limiting and oppressing you and confining you and limiting you. There's other people that would like to be in a relationship with you and work with you and offer you a job that don't have any intention of doing any of those things, because Taurus also talks about our underlying philosophy of life. We get in relationships with people to get clear about what their underlying philosophy of life is. How do they view relationships? How do they make major decisions in their life? Is it love, truth, honesty, character, integrity, creativity, independence, or is it conforming to the world, keeping up with the Joneses? We have a reputation we need to maintain. It's all about money and materialism. That's the most important thing. Well, I think your soul journey is about living your authentic life and being true to who you are, and having faith and trust and belief that the divine has a plan for your life, that if you keep giving it everything you've got and you become more independent of the world within your own foundation, you're going to then come into contact with other people who have that same philosophy of life. People who hold themselves accountable for their actions. People who temper their prideful, egotistical, selfish, greedy, manipulative, whatever nature. Because they're people who walk the talk in high vibe. Oops, I got an alarm on my phone. So, what you might not see coming is that you're going to be working with some new people in your life, in relationships, marriages, or workplaces, because you're holding yourself accountable. You're willing to go on a new venture, and you're going to be investing time, energy, and effort into listening to your intuition about the people you interact with, because you've already interacted with these people and learned the type of lesson you needed to learn from them, and you're not interested in repeating that pattern of relationship anymore. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.